If you're anything like me, then you're not really interested in making bank unless you're making some kind of difference at the same time, right? Been there, done that in the corporate days. I love how intertwined impact and income can be for us business owners. I love how when you get the balance right, the impact and the income you make keep fueling one another, expanding outwards and outwards in this beautiful loop of love and abundance. So good. But I know that there's one really important energetic key to creating bigger and better income and impact. This is something that I'm super passionate about. I haven't actually talked about it on the show for a while. So get ready, my love, because I'm going to share with you what this energetic key is, how I use it specifically in my business to continually create more impact and more income, and of course, how you can use it too. Oh, and we have a theme this month, a new theme that we haven't had on the show before. I'm not going to lie, I'm really bloody excited about it. Yay! Let's dive in. You're listening to the Limitless Mother podcast, bringing you strategy, mindset, and a dash of woo. If you want to learn how you can balance motherhood and money-making beautifully, if you want to learn the strategy, mindset, and manifestation tips you need to do more of what lights you up, attract more ideal clients, make more money, and enjoy more time freedom, if you want to create this vision of success because you are a mother, not in spite of it, then you are in the right place, my love. I'm your host, success coach, business mentor, mother, and tea drinker, Corey Javid. So join me while we explore what's possible for us as mothers and business owners when we remove the limits. Hello, limitless mothers. It's me, your business bestie, Corey Javid from CoreyJavid.com. How are you doing, my love? Are you well? Are you okay? Are you finding lockdown a struggle? Are you not in lockdown? Are you finding life exhilarating? Where are you at? Let me know. All things are valid, right? All human experiences are valid. But I do want to know. Send me an email, support@CoreyJavid.com. Tell me how you are. Tell me what's going on with you. Because we're business besties. Oh, I've got something on that note I'm going to tell you about in a second. Very exciting. So I haven't announced this ahead of time because I forgot, is the honest truth. I didn't forget that it was happening. I just forgot to mention it on the show. But we are in February. Hurrah! We made it through January and we're here in February, the month of love. And because February has Valentine's Day in it and it is the month of love, I am making February on the podcast Self-Love Month. Yay! Yes, that's right, my love. Self-love month. I'll go into the whys and the wherefores in just a second, but this is a new month like we've had. If you've been around here for any length of time, you know we've had Money Month previously. We do that once a year. We've had Feminine Energy Month, bringing that one back again this year as well because it was so popular. You ladies love it when I talk about feminine energy in business because I don't see anybody else talking about it, right? And it's so crucial for us. It's such a win when we tap into that. So that's going to be coming too. And I am mega excited for February being all about self-love. So let's get into that just a teeny bit. Why self-love this month? Well, because really the thing that I see so often underneath mindset wobbles in business, indecision, fears, doubts, the thing that underpins so much of it is this lack of self-worth or lack of self-love, lack of self-acceptance. It pops up as imposter syndrome. It pops up as people-pleasing. Hello, recovering at that. It pops up as perfectionism. That's a part of myself I killed. Yes, die bitch. That's me telling that part of myself that wasn't serving me to die. Anyone else do that? Just me? Yeah, and it pops up in all different ways, but it's really essentially underpinned by the same thing. And why do we end up in this state of feeling less than, feeling not quite enough, not feeling in love with ourselves in a really healthy way? And when I say in a really healthy way, even the fact that in our cultures, and particularly I know in the British culture, the idea of loving yourself is seen as a bit unseemly. It's seen as arrogant. It's seen as being too full of yourself and too big for your boots and stuff. And they talk, there's talk of bringing somebody down a peg or two because they love themselves. I remember when I was a teenager at school, it was like one of the worst insults that could be slung at you was, oh, you just love yourself so much. And that just is so tragic, isn't it, really? Because none of us want to be enhancing a sense of arrogance, but there is a middle ground, right? There is a healthy relationship with ourselves that we can nurture and that we should nurture, because it will be for the benefit of not just ourselves, but everybody around us, right? When we feel whole, worthy, complete, accepting of ourselves. But yeah, it pops up in our language and our cultures, but it also pops up in how we are bombarded. We are bombarded more than any, human form before us. We are really saturated in content. We are on our smartphones and devices all the time, or watching TV, and we're bombarded with imagery and advertising in particular. And underneath that advertising, especially, is so often a sense of, well, if you don't do this thing, then you're somehow not worthy, or you will finally be worthy or accepted or successful, which all come down to kind of worthiness and validation. When you do this thing, which involves buying something outside of yourself, right? So when you finally get this exercise bike, then you'll be fit and healthy and happy looking, and then you'll finally be acceptable, right? And maybe then you'll be lovable by extension. So there are just, everything. If you just look at advertising through that lens, you can see it's no wonder really that we have our sense of worthiness and enoughness eroded by the messages that we receive, if we're not, and especially if we're not being conscious of that, and we're not kind of creating our own filter system, whether it is just like a cognitive filter, like, oh, I see how that ad or that thing is making me feel this way. No, I'm not available for that, not going to let it in. Or whether it's actually doing the deep inner work to heal that inside part of ourselves. But I see it just in so much of the coaching that I do. I hear from women who are working on healing their relationships with money. It always pretty much starts with healing your relationship with yourself. And so I see it as like the thing underneath all of the things. So my coach has a great phrase like that. We all have a thing under the thing. And I see this kind of ultimately boils down to it. We can have different flavors of our thing under the thing, which by the way means like, when you perceive that you have a problem, for example, in your business, often it's because our thing underneath the thing is popping up instead. So it's not really that thing in front of you. It's how you're feeling about it. It's triggering something inside of you that's making it feel like a problem, right? And that thing under the thing is so like, it doesn't matter which kind of variety or flavor you have. And we pretty much all have a thing under the thing, right? So you're not on your own in this. Know that we're all in that. But it pretty much always boils down to, in some respect, our relationship with ourselves. So this is why self-love and self-acceptance and self-worth are so important, and they're really important to me to try to help and empower other women, anybody who I come in contact with, to work on this for themselves and bolster that sense of worthiness, enoughness, self-love from within, because the attainment and achievement of anything outside of ourselves will always fall short of feeling truly fulfilling when we're not feeling fulfilled already within, when we're looking outside of ourselves for some kind of validation to finally feel worthy or enough or lovable or acceptable or whatever that story is for us, right? And so that's why this is like the thing that really drives my mission and my work. Like, we're talking about money a lot, of course, but really one of the reasons why I'm passionate about that as a topic, partly because we've inherited such awful programming around money, and partly because I know that when I get more money into the hands of heart-centered women like yourself, we can do incredible things on this earth. But also it's because in order to get to a place of having a healed relationship with money, we must be looking inwards and healing our relationship with ourselves. So that's why, my love, that's why February is Self-Love Month. Come and come into my warm embrace yourself as well, embrace each other. We're going to be feeling the love, spreading the love like a bunch of hippies. Yes. It's going to be great. It's going to be high vibe. And also, on that topic, because it's really important to me to help you with your sense of self-love and self-acceptance. That's one of the things I feel really passionate about. Not only am I bringing you Self-Love Month on this show, but I'm going to be adding an additional module to Limitless Money later this month, all on the topic of self-love, how it relates to money, but also just bolstering that relationship with yourself from within. So if you're listening and you're already a Limitless Money student, high five, hello, love you, you will be automatically granted access to that. It will be popping up in the feed that we have, the private feed for Limitless Money. And if you haven't got yourself into Limitless Money yet, then do CoreyJavid.com/limitless. And when you sign up, then you will also receive, as everybody receives, all future updates. So anytime I make updates and additions to Limitless Money, you automatically, if you are in, you're in for life, you're a lifer with me, and you will automatically be given that too when it's released later this month. I don't have an exact date for it yet, but it will be in February, and I will know the exact date by next show, by the next episode. Okay, so that's what's going on around here. So excited. Oh my goodness, and I have one other thing to tell you. Oh, see, all of the things. So I'm doing this new thing. I'm so excited about it. I kind of let slip a little bit on Instagram the other day. I don't know if you saw my stories that I'm doing something new. It's free, and it is this. So I was feeling like I wanted a way to connect with you in a deeper way, but also in a more off the cuff, in the moment, random way. I was thinking about you and I, my love, and our relationship, and how I'm always saying that we're business besties, self-proclaimed business besties. And I was thinking about my best friend and I. We send each other voice notes all the time, really random stuff sometimes, something we've been thinking about, something that inspired us, something that we watched that really kind of made us have an aha moment. Sometimes it's just a really silly juvenile thing that we share, all things on the spectrum. And I was thinking I want us to have that additional thing. And also sometimes I will have this thing that I feel so compelled, it's so on my heart to share with you. But then I'll think, wow, I don't know that I really want to put that in an email. It will make the email really long. My email's already pretty long on a Tuesday. And then I thought, and then my natural inclination is to bring it to the show, but we already have a fairly mapped out. We always have a rolling 1 month ahead view. Also, we've got more interviews coming up, taking those slots too. And I was but I feel really impassioned about this thing now, or this thing's really on my mind or my heart right now. I want to share it in the moment, but without kind of having to wait for a podcast slot or having to create some content that takes time to get out there, polish, deliver, whatever. Not that we do a ton of polishing around here, let's be honest. But anyway, this podcast is very beautifully edited, but other than that. And so here's what I've come up with. If you want, you can sign up and I will send you Biz Bestie voice memos. Yay! How exciting is this? Now, these are not going to be anything like the podcast, so don't think oh, it's more podcast content. No, not at all. These are going to be totally raw, totally unedited, off the cuff. You might have to put up with me walking upstairs and talking to you at the same time, and therefore huffing and puffing into the microphone, because I'm just doing it on the voice app on my phone. You might have to put up with me getting interrupted by my daughter shouting at me. You might have to put up with me losing my train of thought. This happens, but it gets edited out on this show, right? Sometimes they could be 30 seconds long. Sometimes they could be 13 minutes long. I might do 2 in a day and then nothing for a week. There's going to be no schedule because it's literally just what it is. Voice notes from your business bestie. Those little voice memos that pop up. Quite exciting, right? And it's going to be a private feed delivered via your podcast player. Super exciting. Oh, the joys of technology. So if that sounds good, sign on up, my love. Head over to CoreyJavid.com/bestie, because we're besties, and I will hook you up with this feed, and you can just pop in as and when you feel like it and see what I've uploaded, and also have a giggle along with me, because some of it will just be silly, I'm imagining, as well. But also some like really good like soul and mindset shifts and energetic boosts. Yay. I'm literally so excited about this. I feel like it's like the best idea I've had in a long time. Just so fun. Okay. Now we're all caught up. Let's get into the energetic key to impact and income and how I do it. And so you might be looking at that and thinking, well, what's this got to do with self-love month? Just you wait, my love. It's very relevant. We're going to get into it. So before we dive in though, I just want to ask you something, like how intertwined do you see income and impact? I bet if you're at all like me, you're not really interested in making income without making an impact as well. Like that kind of doing your soul's work type of impact, that type of impact where you just feel really fulfilled by the work that you're doing and by the impact that you're creating. Like we can make an impact and it can be like negative, I guess. So when I say impact, I mean like a kind of soul nourishing, positive impact on the people that we serve, on the people around us and our communities, etc. It's kind of, to me, it's kind of the point of having our own businesses, don't you think? I definitely spent a long time in the corporate space having an impact of sorts, but not one that felt really great to my soul. And I was making the income and it felt very much as a trade to fulfillment a lot of the time. So we're done with that around here, aren't we? So that's why I was kind of thinking about this idea of income and impact. And whenever I'm working on a money goal or like increasing my income, I always approach it from the point of how can I create more value? How can I have a bigger impact? That's the most important thing to me. When I focus on that, and because I've done the work to be open to receive more and more money, then the two always go hand in hand. However, I do see that it's very easy, if you've not done the work around money, to want to make an impact but feel weird about the income that comes with it. And I find this, I've had this conversation with so many women in the past who are very much heart-centered women, who have a mission, who really desire to serve, have like a vision for how they want to serve, but feel weird about charging for it, feel weird about making money from it. Here's the thing that I know to be true though, my love. If you're here to make an impact like I am, then we need income to actually do that. If we're not making enough money or great money even, then we can't have as big of an impact. So that's why they're so beautifully combined. The more impact I make, the more income I make. The more income I make, the more impact I can make, and so on and so forth, in a beautiful, ever expanding spiral. And so this is why it's something that's really fun to look at, like the energetic key behind it, because the thing that I see stopping women so often from making income and from, by extension, making the kind of impact that they want to make is because they feel weird about making the income to begin with. So if that's you, do that work. You can do it inside of Limitless Money, but do the work that you need to do to clear up your energy around receiving, because money is supposed to flow both ways. And like I said, in an ever expanding loop, expanding for you, but also expanding in terms of the abundance that we create for ourselves is abundance that we create in the world. We get to use it in all manner of incredible ways that actually then multiplies abundance out there for others further. So, because I've seen this happen too often, I really wanted to share what I believe to be the energetic key to impact and income, what it has to do with self-love, because it has everything to do with it actually, so that you can have both in balance. You can have the impact and the income in a balance that feels good. It feels good to your soul, feels authentic, and it feels like it's not a compromise. You're not compromising on the impact that you can make because you need the income. And also you're not compromising on the income that you make because you feel like doing good work in the world shouldn't then mean that you financially benefit from it. So it's about finding and restoring that beautiful balance so that abundance can flow and impact can flow freely. Okay, so here is the energetic key. It is relationships. Relationships, my love, are the energetic key to both impact and income and using them both together. But you can't start with relationships with others. So if you heard that and you're like, oh, cool, great, because I want to make an impact and I love serving other people. So yeah, I'm just going to keep showing up for them and forge ahead with that. Well, that's great in theory, but only if you've got the most important relationship on lock first and you're tending to it first. And that, my love, is your relationship with yourself. Yes, if you are not putting care and attention into your relationship with yourself, you will not have the energy required to make the impact and the income that you desire. And that is possible for you, right? You will be limiting the impact and the income available to yourself if you're not tending to your relationship with yourself, which is why this is all about self-love. If you've got a desire to serve others, amazing, but you cannot do that by always deprioritizing yourself. We have this really bizarre notion that to prioritize ourselves, to work on our relationship with ourselves, and we'll talk about what that can look like in a minute, that somehow it's selfish. And I just want us to, like, once and for all blow up that myth, because it's a lie and it just doesn't stack up logically when you look at it. If you deprioritize yourself all the time, you're left with nothing. You need to have that full jug so that you can pour out. And whenever we deprioritize ourselves, we're not filling up our jug. We're not tending to that relationship inside, and we actually have less to give. And so we need to become more comfortable with tending to our relationships with ourselves. And it's not something that's taught, right? It's not something that's taught in school. It may or may not be something that you were taught by your parents. It's not something that it's starting to kind of creep into culture a little bit more, with things like meditation and mindfulness. These are kind of ways that you can work on your relationship with yourself, of course, and mindset work. This is great. But just in terms of our upbringings, that probably wasn't a huge facet of it. Obviously, everyone's been brought up slightly differently, but for the main part in Western culture, I would say that it's been like very lacking, this idea that you should be or could be focusing on your relationship with yourself, because really what that comes down to is working on your insides, your vibration, your energy, so that you can show up for the relationships outside of you and around you with your best energy as your best self. Now, that doesn't mean being perfect. Don't misunderstand me. That doesn't mean having all your shit together. No, it just means that you have replenished those inner reserves and you have so much then to beam outward. So one of the reasons I feel able to show up with such enthusiasm and buoyance and, the way that I would like to describe it is effervescent energy, I don't know, you can decide, on this podcast, is because I prioritize myself first, because I know that I'm not going to be much fun to hang around with on this show if I've not been taking care of myself, right? If I've not been prioritizing my relationship with myself, then I can't show up and make the impact that I want to make with this show, just as an example, right? And then, of course, some of my income comes from there. Like this, does not directly from the show, but I will tell you what I have available, and some of you will come and step further into a relationship with me and invest, right? So it's a kind of like beautiful thing. But if I'm showing up and I'm like, hey guys, how's it going? Or I'm trying to fake it energetically, that's just not going to fly, is it? It's not going to be as powerful energetically to absorb on the other end. So that's why we need to, once and for all, are you with me? We're doing away with this notion that focusing on ourselves, investing time and attention and care on our insides, on our relationship with ourselves, is a priority. It should be I would even go so far as to say a number one priority, because if you lose that, you've got nothing. You are operating on empty. You can't be as good a parent as you would like to if you are woefully neglecting your insides. And also, we just then aren't modeling positive behavior to our children if we've got a relationship with ourselves that sucks, if we're just our own worst critic, our own worst enemy, beating up on ourselves all the time and not doing anything about it. We're spiraling downwards. We're not going to be in a great position, are we, to be helping to foster a sense of worthiness and enoughness and validation from within and self-love with our kids. We have to be the change that we want to see, right? So we have to be that example. Now, that's not to say that we're going to probably kill that inner critic once and for all. And let's not be unrealistic here. We are humans. We also have a brain that's hardwired to protect us and save us from anything that feels uncomfortable or scary or, ultimately death is what it's designed to save us from. But it goes a bit haywire in this day and age because we're not really most of the time at risk of a saber-toothed tiger jumping out of, your neighbour's front garden as you walk past it. But my point being, don't misunderstand me here. I'm not saying that if we don't have a really great relationship with ourselves all day, every day, then we suck. No. It's about noticing where we're at, being okay with where we're at, not making ourselves wrong, which is the first step always in tending to our relationship with ourselves, and then committing to doing something about it, tending to it. It's never about being perfect. It's never about finally getting rid of any sense of negativity. No, unrealistic, but it's about having that intention to tend to that relationship and making that relationship important. That's all that we need. If we're doing that, then we're starting to win, right? So don't misunderstand me on that. I never, ever mean that we need to be perfect, we need to be positive all the time, or we suck. No, never make yourself wrong. Wherever you're at, it's cool. Notice it, decide if you want to do something different, decide if you want to make some changes or not, right? It's up to you, but we're all in a human experience, so I never want that to be misunderstood here. Anyway, so the first energetic key to impact and income, well, the energetic key to impact and income is relationships, but it must start from within. It must start with your sense of love for yourself. Then we can go to the outside. Then when we are prioritizing that, when we are nurturing that, then we can work on the other things. We can work on our relationship with money, which is by extension a relationship with ourselves, because by balancing and healing our relationship with money, we can get into that more balanced flow of ever-increasing impact and income that I was talking about. If you are trying to do good in the world, trying to create an impact, trying to make some kind of positive change, whether that's in your family, in your community, in a wider sense, to the planet at large, if you have a skewed and negative relationship with money, it's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be a lot harder because money brings opportunity, brings resources, brings leverage, brings, influence that we can use for good and make the impact that we want to make, whether that's in a smaller circle around us or a bigger, wider one, doesn't matter. It makes the impact that we want to make so much easier. So healing our relationship with money comes by extension from healing our relationship with ourselves, because often the two are very intertwined, which is why already in Limitless Money, I include a lot, and those of you who are Limitless Money students, there's a lot in there about worthiness and enoughness already. And that's why I'm excited to also layer in this additional bonus self-love module too. And then from there, so tend to your relationship with yourself, because we're talking about impact and income here, and we're talking about via your business largely, but also it trickles out and has an impact on our personal lives in a good way too, right? But it starts with our inner relationship, then our relationship with money, because if we're going to make impact and income, we need that healthy relationship with money. And then we can talk about relationship with others, and relationship with others are also obviously critical to how we make a bigger and better impact and income from it. So there's a book that I downloaded on Audible. I'm going to be honest with you, I've only listened to a couple of chapters. I'm not enjoying it, and I think it's just the way it's narrated. Sometimes somebody's voice just doesn't vibe with you, and it's a bit kind of like when you're listening to it. But the title is very good, and I feel like I've just, from the title and from the bits that I've listened to, taken the essence from it, and it's called Who, Not How. And I think that's a really great approach, and I think the way that we've been kind of molded by society is to really revere and respect and reward and everything, beginning with our independence. And now there's nothing wrong with being independent, and it's great if you're independent and, most importantly, empowered. However, I think the problem lies in the fact that we try too often to do everything alone, and we see that there's some sense of validation and there's like a badge of honor that comes from doing things alone. And I really would like us to get over that idea. And I think that if we started to foster more of a sense of interdependence, which comes from relationships, right? And we all relied a little bit more on our relationships with others to do the things that we want to do, and then support those around us with the things that they want to do, I think we would be so much the better for it. And I see this play out in business. I've seen women before who feel like there is some kind of medal or some kind of validation that will come from doing everything alone in business, doing it totally solo, which is the struggle bus way, right? Now, there's a time and a place sometimes for doing things ourselves first before we say get support with it. But really, there's no medals. There's no reason. There's nothing to prove here, right? I will happily admit there is no way in hell I could be sitting here having made multiple six figures in my business, doing it with such a sense of ease a lot of the time, working right now like 16 hours a week. There is no way I would have had the fast trajectory, be making this kind of money, enjoying myself for the large part, feeling content and working so few hours if it weren't for the relationships in my life. No way. If I'd been trying to do this all alone, if I'd been a resolute DIYer, I would be back at like square two, 1 or 2, right? I would not be here at, I don't know, where am I? 10, 20, I don't know. It's all kind of a bit relative, but you know what I mean, right? There is no way. I am really into relationships, and I'll talk about, so I'm going to tell you about how I do it in just a second. But you only have to kind of like look at my life, and I'll give you a bit of insight there, and you'll see like I am like a ride or die kind of person. Once you have me, you got me for life. Too bad if that's not what you signed up, if that's not what you thought you signed up for. So anyway, but I think this is a failing of ours, and I haven't always been great at this. I would like to say I have been in some areas of my life, but you know, I've mentioned on the show loads of times before that when I was a new mother, I was terrible at thinking there was some kind of validation that came from doing it on my own and not saying yes to offers of support. Kind of feel like reaching back into the past and slapping that past me around the face, shaking me by the collar and saying, wake up, what are you doing? Why are you saying no to that? But hey, we all have to go through our own journey, right? And it makes me value the support that I have in my life all the more now. But my point is, let's stop trying to do things on our own, shall we? There is literally nothing to be gained. There's only a struggle there. And the other thing is, I'm always thinking about what I'm modeling to my daughter, and I am not a perfect role model. I would like to just make that clear. But I do give it some thought from time to time, like, what behavior am I displaying? And so I talk about the support I have in my life. I talk about how I didn't know the answer to this, and so I asked this person. I talk about why I invest in myself and in the support that I have for me and for my business and the various things that I do. Like, I'm investing in support for my health right now as well. So I talk about that because I want to model that expectation that we just don't do it all on our own. We don't struggle alone in the dark. That's how it kind of feels to me, that there's no reward for doing that. Because I think that somehow in our culture that has become a thing, hasn't it? So anyway, relationships, they are the energetic key to impact and income, but it must start from within, my love. So here's though what happens when we go deep on relationships instead of wide. Now, those of you with a bit of a smutty mind like me will very much enjoy this next bit of conversation, because I'm going to be talking about going deep instead of wide. You know, you can let your mind luxuriate in the gutter if you choose. That's the type of place my mind likes to reside sometimes. So let's talk about going deep instead of wide, shall we, my love? And this is the thing that I place a really high value on. So I place a really high value on relationships because, yes, it's the key, it's the energetic key to making more impact and income, but it's also just fulfilling, right? We thrive with human connection. And when we have great quality relationships in our lives and our businesses, our life just feels better. So ultimately it just comes down to feeling good and enjoying life as much as anything else. The impact and the income are kind of a bonus. But I place a really high value on deep relationships, and that's both in my personal life, but also definitely in my business. And I know that placing that value on deep relationships, it has really served me and the people that I serve. So it's, again, one of these beautiful things that it's not just benefiting me, it's benefiting others around me, and it's making a wider impact. So when we go deep on relationships, so when we invest more in the relationships that we already have, more time, sometimes more money, more care, more attention, more energy, what we receive back becomes bigger and bigger. And I don't want to say that we invest in relationships just because we receive back. So don't misunderstand me, but it's also because we can create a bigger impact. So when I invest more in the relationships in my business, and when I say invest, I mean time, care, attention, energy, sometimes money as well, obviously, then I can have a bigger impact. Now, I can have a bigger impact potentially on that person. They can have a bigger impact on me, and I can create more income. And then with that income, I can create more of an impact. And you see how it just keeps going round and round. But let's get into some specifics, because I said I would share like how I do it. So I'm hoping that it will get you to think about where you're already doing this. You can give yourself a virtual high five, and then also think about, and where can I go even deeper? And maybe there's aspects of your business or business model that you can see are naturally lending themselves to going wide. Maybe that's something that you want to keep, or maybe you can actually, in that widening, then go deeper with those wider relationships. And it's not about having an insanely intimate and massively deep relationship with every single person we're coming in contact with, of course, but it's about like, even if we can just increase the depth of that one relationship or over there a notch, then it's going to be for the ultimate good, I believe. So let's talk about how I invest in relationships for income and impact. And by investing in them, I, of course, start with my relationship with myself. It shouldn't be a surprise, right? Now, I don't have always the best relationship with myself. I'm going to be honest about that. It's a work in progress, but it is a commitment that I've made. It is important to me. I do prioritize it. I work on cultivating it. I notice if I'm trash talking myself and I nip it in the bud. I look for opportunities to be massively kind to myself, to give myself a ton of grace, to trust myself. And I do this by having a daily mindset practice, right? This is one of the ways that I do work on my relationship, is by having that commitment, carving out that little bit of space and time for myself. Sometimes it's 5 minutes. So don't misunderstand me here. It's not like I'm spending an hour like luxuriating in the love of myself. Sometimes I am, but not always, right? Especially not right now. But I do the inner work. So I do all of the work. I've done all of the work that's, of course, in Limitless Money, because it's based on the work that I did. I've healed my relationship with money, but I'm always looking for opportunities to improve my relationship with money, because by doing that, I'm improving my relationship with myself. You understand, right? Because to receive more money, I need to feel worthy of receiving more money. So I need to feel worthiness from within. And also, in order to go out into the world and achieve financial goals and achieve any kind of goal, it's always going to feel lacking, or it's always going to feel somehow empty when we get there, if we were hoping that arriving there was going to make us finally feel worthiness from within. So I work on my worthiness from within so that I can be detached from my goals, which makes hitting them so much easier, right? Because I feel worthy of receiving them, so I can be in that state of positive expectation, but I'm also not pinning my sense of validation, self-worth, self-love onto that goal. I'm not making that goal mean anything about me. And the way that I do that, the way I can stay detached, is by tending to my relationship with myself first, finding validation from within, finding worthiness from within, looking for opportunities to signal to myself that I am worthy. Now, one of the ways that I do that is by literally, it's a kind of like one of those meta things, by investing time for myself. I am self-signaling and telling myself through that daily mindset practice, you're worthy of this. You are worthy of this care and attention. This relationship matters, just by carving out that little bit of time every day. So I do the inner work. I also, as you know, if you've been around here for any length of time, I invest in myself heavily. So I have the support of my coach within the mastermind that I'm in. You'll know I'm obsessed with it. And so through that, I am so supported, and I invest really highly, thousands of pounds. I've invested tens of thousands of pounds throughout my time in business in this, which I see like it's a relationship with my coach, it's a relationship with my mastermind sisters. I go deep on those relationships. I mean, I've been working with my coach for longer than I've had my business. I said to her, the only way that you get rid of me is you'd have to literally prise my claws out of you. Now, that's not because I feel any sense of dependence on her. I know I'll be absolutely fine on my own. I'm, more than capable, more than empowered, but I choose to have that relationship in my life and business because I tell myself that I'm worthy of it. It's a way of always reinforcing my sense of worthiness to receive that. I choose to have that support because life is easier with support, with somebody who can call you out on your BS, somebody that can be there for you, somebody that can help you do the inner work of working on yourself, because it can be hard to just do totally in silo without some kind of support mechanism, whether that's a course or a coach, right? And I invest in that relationship with her in an ongoing way. And that's really important to me because the longer I invest in that relationship with her, the bigger the wins that I get. The bigger the wins that I get, first of all, in terms of my relationship with myself, and then by extension from there in terms of results in my life and business. I know that if I hadn't have invested in myself in this way so consistently, I really walk my talk on this, right? I'm always saying that we need to be investing in ourselves and we need support. I totally walk my talk on this. Like I said, I've invested tens of thousands of pounds in myself at this point, and I would do so gladly and even invest in a bigger and deeper way. And like I said, it's not because I feel like I would be lost without that, but it's because I choose to feel really well supported, because I choose to prioritize my relationship with myself. And it's one way that I can do that, because in those sessions that I have with my mastermind sisters, and then the support that I have with my coach, that's one of the opportunities that I have to really look at my relationship with myself, and is there any inner work that I need to do in order to be achieving the impact and the income that I want to be making out there. So I know for sure that has been so fundamental, is that I have gone deep on that relationship, and I'm really committed to that relationship because, it just feels better, right? It just feels better to have support. I know people who have had coaches and hopped around between them. Now, of course, sometimes we're unfortunate that we don't get the right fit, first of all. But I think bouncing around, you don't get all of the beautiful kind of compound and cumulative effect that comes from being in a relationship with that person who knows you so well. The kind of leaps and bounds and kind of quantum leaps and shifts that we make only get bigger and easier and better the longer that we invest in that relationship. Does that make sense? So I've seen people hopping about, and then of course they have sporadic results in their business and their energy feels sporadic, sometimes up, sometimes really down. My energy is so supported. Guess why? Because I prioritize it, and I do that by paying for ongoing support. So I'm really passionate about this because it is something that I feel is really important. And I've also seen women have coaching support, and then leave that coaching support that was doing them so well. And often at that kind of critical moment that you can see, I've had peers do this. I've had the occasional client, of course, do this because, we're all humans. We've got to make our own decisions and things. But at that crucial point, and then lose momentum that, is there when you have someone who really knows you well, and then you've got to start from scratch. Or people who try to do it alone think I'm doing quite well with this program or this mastermind or this coach, whatever that looks like to them, and then say, but I want to just see if I can do it on my own now. Why? No, everyone has to make their own decision, but personally I just feel why do you want to see if you can do it on your own? What part of you is not trusting yourself? That's where you need to work on your relationship with yourself, and you can actually work on that relationship with yourself and trusting yourself more while you're supported. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. And also, like I said, there's no badge of honor for doing it alone. So I do the inner work. This is how I prioritize my relationship with myself. And like I said, the results that I get in terms of income and impact are in a huge part attributed to my commitment to my relationship with myself and my energy and how I feel, because when those things are tended to, everything feels easier. I can show up and support the people around me so much better. So this plays out into my business. So because I have that foundation of working on my relationship with myself, then I have more buoyant, more high vibe energy, which is the key to impact and income, right? And so the way that plays out in my business is that I'm more able to invest more into my relationships with my clients because I'm not bringing my shit to the table, right? I have that dealt with, processed, supported outside of it, which means I can hold massive energetic space for the women that I work with, which means that they feel more supported, they make more income, and they get bigger results, and they make more of an impact in the world. So do you see how this ripples out? Now, if I wasn't tending to my relationship with myself, I wouldn't be so able to hold such big energetic space for the women that I work with and to coach them as powerfully as I'm able to, because I just would be running on a lower tank, right? A lower energetic tank. And then they wouldn't be as supported, and they wouldn't be as able to make the income that they want to make, and they wouldn't be able to as able and as supported in making the income that they want to make. So do you see how this has a beautiful ripple effect? And the reason why I'm telling you this is not to kind of focus on myself, but just to get you thinking about how this impacts you. When you do this work, when you tend to your energy by tending on your relationship with yourself, then you get to bring that to your relationships with your clients and customers, and you can help them create more impact and income. And then while you're doing that, you create bigger impact and income. Everyone's a winner. And the other thing just to note is, I share a lot of results from my clients on this show. Ooh, shout out to one of them who just told me yesterday that she's had her biggest cash month ever in business, and it was $3,000 higher than her previous cash month, and we're not even finished yet, and she has a couple of sales might still come in. So it's looking at being minimum, I think it was like 14K for her cash received. So good. Also, another, just a fun one. I normally share these at the top, and I'm getting so distracted here. Another fun money win, just as it came to my head then, is while we were on one of our mastermind calls with the Elevated Abundance ladies the other day. One of the ladies made 5 sales while we were on our call. Love that. My mum often will tell me oh, I made a sale when I was doing this, or while we were doing that. I love it when, I don't know, some people have those sorts of businesses that they kind of come in, and it's that really lovely surprise of little sales throughout the day. So good. Anyway, got totally distracted. My point that I was going to make there is that when I share big client wins on the show, the big money wins, the thing is that I'm going to start sharing more of the intangible wins, because I think they are every bit as much as important, if not slightly more so. But the fact that they go hand in hand is the thing that really makes it juicy and exciting to me. Anyway, the clients who I talk about on the show, and with the big, when I'm bringing you those big fun money wins that we can celebrate, those more often than not always 100% of the time, because it depends at which point somebody comes and works with me in the mastermind or one-to-one or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, they are somebody who has a longer relationship with me, right? Because the longer the relationship that we have with our support network, and I am that, part of that support network for those people, then the more and the bigger the wins that we can have, because we are so supported. So of course it just makes sense, because I know these clients so well, because I've been working with these ladies for a longer period of time, because I go deep on these relationships. Then of course the kind of income that they can make, and the kind of impact that I'm having on them through our relationship, and the kind of impact they're creating and able to go and achieve, is of course bigger. It just keeps ramping up. It's not just it kind of increases exponentially over time. Does that make sense? It's not just a kind of a steady thing and that kind of plateaus. The more you invest in key relationships, then over time, the bigger and bigger and kind of more leap-like the wins and the impact and the income that you can make are. Now, one of the ways that I invest in my relationships with my clients, so I talked about the fact that I invest and prioritize my relationship with myself first, because that is a way of investing my relationship with my clients, because I know I can show up and be in my best version of myself for them, which is what I want to bring to them, right? So I can do my best work with them. But another way that I do that is, and I don't know how vocal I've been about this on the show before, but I will always prioritize an ongoing client re-signing with me than somebody new coming in, even though, because I put my prices up fairly regularly, the new person coming in would pay me more. So I prioritize the deep relationship, not wide. I could have potentially made, I haven't done the maths on this, but I could have potentially made more money in terms of just like, if you were looking only at the work that I do directly supporting women in a high level way through the mastermind and one-to-one, if I had always had a churn model. So if I'd gone wide instead of deep, so if I'd always had like every 6 months, 10 new clients, for example, because I'd be putting my prices up, then those 10 would pay me more, then get rid of them after 6 months, bring in another 10 at a higher price point, I would have made more income. But like I said, I'm not interested in just income for income's sake. It's not fulfilling to me. I want to be making an impact, and I want to be making a really meaningful impact. And so I prioritize my existing and ongoing clients, and I have a really high re-sign rate. So when I haven't done this calculation in a little while, so I should do it again to be fair. But the last time I calculated this for one-to-one, for example, I had an 80% retention rate because I'm so committed to these relationships and going deep and not wide. And because the women that I work with like largely get it and they understand like there's even more gains to be made by continuing to work together, right? Because we know each other so well and we can only do bigger and better things with more ease the longer we work together. But that's one of the ways that I invest in my relationships with my clients, is by being willing to leave money on the table with a potential, new client paying a higher price, because I will always prioritize somebody that wants to re-sign with me. And I grandfather pricing, by which I mean that if somebody comes to work with me, then they get to keep that pricing. And for me, that increases the amount of impact that I can make, which is really important. And I think actually you could probably argue that over time it may be in some way, I don't know, it creates like a more of a balance with the income, because I'm not having to go out and acquire new clients as often. So anyway, another way that I invest in my relationships to make a bigger income and impact is with my relationships with my Limitless Money students, of course. So something that I've just done recently to go deeper, and because I was aware that, so Limitless Money is now evergreen. You can join anytime that you would like to, coreytrevor.com/limitless, get your buns in there, come and enjoy the love and the money inside. But one of the things that I was thinking about is that now opening it up on a regular basis, I didn't want it to turn into a high churn model. I want to welcome more women into it, yes, because I want to widen the impact that I'm making. But I was like, I want to still focus on deepening my relationship with every single Limitless Money student. So now I send a personalized, and this is something just new I've started doing since, this year. I send a personalized video message to every single woman that joins, because I want her to feel connected with me, because I feel connected to her and I want us to have a relationship. I am not interested in somebody coming in, buying Limitless Money and going off again. No. Once you're in, you're part of the ecosystem, right? You're part of the inner circle. You're part of the tribe. You're part of this community in a more deepening way. And I want to know what's going on. I want to hear how you're getting on with it. And something that I introduced last year as a way of deepening that relationship is there are 3 accountability check-ins built into the course. So when you purchase, then after I think it's a week, you receive an email from me, and then a couple of weeks later another, and so on. There's 3 check-ins. And those are opportunities for you to literally reply to the email that's sent to you. And I personally read them all and personally reply, again, because I'm not interested in the type of self-serve course model where you just have a high churn rate and you don't have any clue of how people are getting on, or whether or not the work that you've created inside that course is having the impact that you want it to, and, not having that genuine relationship. I'm interested in going deep. Like I said, once you take a step into the relationship with me, that's it. Like, I'm yours now. So I do that with Limitless Money. And of course that increases the kind of impact and income that I can have. It increases the impact because if I have my finger on the pulse, if I'm hearing in real time from my Limitless Money students how they're getting on, where they're at in the course. It can help me to be inspired to add to the course, make any changes or enhancements. One of the things that we did at the back end of last year was we moved the platform. It was something that we were very aware of we needed to do. It was really hard to find a platform that would do it, but we found one. But that was because we listened to our Limitless Money students and they wanted it to be even easier to consume. So now it is. So that enables me to create a bigger impact with that piece of work. I'm not interested in somebody just buying my course and not doing it. I want them to buy it, do it, heal their relationship with money, up-level their money mindset, and earn more money. And I want to hear about it. And if I'm not hearing about it, then I'll be saying to them, hey, haven't heard from you. And I did this recently. I sent out a couple of little video messages to some women who had bought Limitless Money a while back. And I was like, let me know how you're getting on. What's new with you? And I'll be making my way around those as and when I get time in and around lockdown. So again, this increases the amount of impact that I can have by me deepening my relationship with my students. And then from there, of course, it increases my income, because if women are coming into Limitless Money feeling really supported by the course, feeling connected to me, not just like a number, then they're more likely to tell a friend who they know needs it, which means that I can widen my impact and then also the income with it. And it's that beautiful connection. And then those women, guess what, are increasing their income, which just is a really cool thing, right? So it just keeps widening in a beautiful spiral. And equally, for example, I sold out the first round of my Elevated Abundance Mastermind before we even launched it. Every single one of those ladies, and it's not a coincidence, was a Limitless Money student. So I love that, because I don't want people just coming in, taking something and then going again and feeling dissatisfied or feeling like, yeah, that didn't quite live up to things. I want my stuff to be so bloody good that people stick around and want more, because I want to make a bigger impact and I want to be able to serve them in a deepening way, because I'm into deep, not wide relationships. I think you get the point here, right? So these are some of the ways that I do this in my business. But really, the reason that I'm telling you is I want you to really think about, where is this resonating with you? What can you be doing to go deeper on your relationships? How can you go deeper on your relationship with yourself? How can you go deeper on your relationships with your support network? How can you lean into those relationships more? Allow yourself to be supported more. How can you invest deeper in your relationships with your clients, customers, students, however you interact in your business? It's only going to serve you and them. It's only going to create more impact and more income, and it's so good. And the other thing I just remembered, I should have also mentioned, like, the template shop. So again, there, I'm not interested in a high churn model. I reward completion. I reward people who, if you've ever bought one of the templates from the template shop, you know that if you complete your first one in a certain timeline, you get your second one free. And then if you complete 4 within each of its own timeline, so I think we give you 2 weeks for each of them, then you get a free call with me. I give back. I literally will keep investing. The more you invest in your relationship with me, the bigger I'll invest in my relationship with you. So my point is just have a look at all aspects of your business, and you can find some really fun and innovative things to do. Some of the best things that I feel like I've created have come from my desire to deepen my relationship with people, and from there, then the income and the impact that we make feels really authentic. It feels really fulfilling. It feels really nourishing to your soul, because it's coming from this really genuine place. And I've always said the best sales come from relationships, right? But it's about so much more than just that sale. That sale is the start of a relationship. They can go even further and create even more impact and income for you, for them, for everyone. So that's my little spiel on the energetic key to impact and income. I really want you to think about how you can put this into action. So that's my desire for sharing this today, because the more we embrace relationships as the way to move forward, the healthier we will all be mentally, physically, spiritually, right? The more we do away with this idea of doing things alone, and the more we invest deeper into our relationships. And that doesn't mean you need to be super intimate with 148 people. It's not about stretching ourselves thin, obviously, because you're going to start with your relationship with yourself, my love, right? Because it's self-love month. But the more that we actually approach it from this angle, the more it serves us, but the more it serves everyone else as well. So beautiful. So how are you investing in your relationship with yourself right now? Are you investing time in yourself? Are you investing money in yourself? How could you go deeper on your relationship with yourself? How could you spend a little bit more time or a little bit more consistently? Could you find some support for that work? Could you go deeper on the support that you have? And then from there, once you've started cultivating that relationship with yourself, then you can turn your gaze outwards. Where are there opportunities to deepen the relationships in your life and business? And I did promise that I would just before we wrap this up, I did promise that I would share about how this isn't just in my business, right? So obviously I've been with my coach and I work in a mastermind with her now, high level mastermind, you probably know. I've been with her for more than 3 years, like ride or die there. My best friend and my in real life best friend, shout out to Lib. She and I have been best friends since we were 18. So that is, 21 years. And my husband, we've been together for 18 years in total, married for 10 of those. I'm just that sort of person. I'm just once I'm in, I'm all in. But that approach has just really served me also in my business. One of the most popular episodes on this show has always been, Are You All In? And I'm so all in on this business and have been for since day dot with it. But that just really has served me. And that's why I feel passionate about sharing this insight with you, because I want this to serve you too. I want you to have a look at where you can go all in and really enjoy it. But start with yourself. Definitely start with yourself. Do not pass go until you've worked on that relationship with yourself. Okay, my love, I hope you've enjoyed today's show. I hope you are enjoying Self-Love Month so far. I've got so much great content coming up for you on that. And just a reminder, if you're feeling compelled and called to heal your relationship with money so that you can up-level your mindset, start making more with ease, start having a bigger impact and income on your family, your life, your community, the world at large, whatever lights you up, then get yourself inside of Limitless Money, CoriJavid.com/limitless. I would love to have you in there, and you will be receiving a personal welcome video from moi, because that's how we roll. And also don't forget, if you want to sign up for those voice memos from me, your biz bestie, this is how I'm going deeper on our relationship, even for free. Head over to CoriJavid.com/bestie. We're going to pop both of those links in the podcast player show notes. If you know where those are, you can just poke them right now. And you can find out more about today's show over on my website, CoriJavid.com/podcast/relationships. Never forget, my love, you are limitless. Bye for now. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you so much. If you've enjoyed listening to today's show, make sure you subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher so you don't miss out on any episodes. It would make my day, possibly even my week, if you could spare a minute and leave a review over on iTunes. And because I value your time so much, each month, the one lucky reviewer will win a free success coaching call with yours truly. So, if you'd love for us to pinpoint and then work through that one thing that's currently standing between where you are now and where you want to be, then definitely leave a review for your chance to win. Until next time, remember, you are limitless.